Do you have the feeling that there's more horror on TV or more people writing horror than there used to be before? Do you think that horror is something we can all access to? Is it something that everybody understands the same way? Do you think that the Gothic has got anything to do with it? To answer these questions and a lot more, I have created together with my friend Tugce Kutlu a video podcast divided in 4 parts where we talk about all these questions and a lot more. In our space, Road to Self-Recognition, this 4-part video podcast is called The Shadowy Truth Behind Modern Horror and Gothic Trends. This is Alice, you are in Gothic Land, and if you want to know more, you're very welcome to watch these 4-part series where you're going to have also some surprises. See you there. So welcome back to Alice in Gothic Land in this episode.
Hi, Alice.
Hello, Tugce, how are you?
I'm fine. You?
How about Holding you? On, really, I'm fine. I'm enjoying these. I'm really enjoying these.
Me too. It's always fun to chat with you.
Oh, it's lovely. We've missed each other. We should let it go for so long next time.
Exactly. We shouldn't. Exactly, we shouldn't. We should find time.
We should. Well, we're busy ladies. We're researchers, and we have busy lives. So
yeah, we're always busy with something.
Indeed. I have to thank you for a lot of things, and I have to say that I have to thank you for telling me about the supernatural essay, because this has been a game changer for me. I know it's got nothing to do with this program, but thank you so much, because I'm writing this essay and it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thank you. It'll be. I mean, it's just just being there and being part of it is so worth it, and I'm so grateful that you thought of me, because if not, I would have missed it.
Yeah,
so
why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
You're the perfect fit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Let's hope I don't make a mistake. I don't make mistakes in the end.
Well, you will make it. You will make it good.
Oh, I hope so. So welcome coming back to what we're doing here. So episode 8, part 4 of The Shadow Truth Behind Modern Horror and Gothic Trends. So the question that I want to ask you in this part 4 is the following. Okay, is not this one that comes at the end. Is what have you been watching lately? And I've been thinking about it. This looks pretty much like what does this remind you of, this TV? Let's see if we think of the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean Poltergeist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Reminds me of Poltergeist. And I'm scared. I'm a little bit scared, to be honest. it's one of my favorite films actually. Top Hooper, Hooper is one of my favorite directors as well, and Poltergeist is a great film, great, beautifully done, beautifully made. And so what have I been watching lately? A lot of things, because as I said in the previous episodes, there are a lot of horror kind of films and TV shows, and a lot of things horror related have basically come to our screens.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to, because of the semester and working and studying PhD as well, I didn't have a lot of time to watch outside the the watching list that I had for PhD. So I started watching them at the end of the term. So I caught up with Devil in Ohio and the Midnight Club. I didn't have, I mean, you can understand how busy I am by seeing that I didn't have time to watch a Mike Flanagan show. I mean, this is really, if you know me,
I
this
know,
is like
it must have
impossible.
been busy, yeah.
It's impossible. Like basically I watch Mike Flanagan shows on the first day that they hit Netflix. So this is the first time in a long time that I basically waited months to watch a Mike Flanagan show, and I am happy that I watched it on a free time, because the Midnight Club is, oh my god, it's so full. It's so full of gothic, it's so full of death, it's so full of loss and grief. And it is amazing. It is basically I'm just going to give a little bit like what it's about. So it's basically about this group of teenagers who all have terminal illnesses. They're about to die. So they go to this hospice, this like gothic kind of like building. This is a private hospice, and they are going there to wait to die there. So, but they form friendships along the way. They kind of form relationships along the way, and it's really important because we never completely, as a society, we do not talk about death a lot, as we established before, but we also don't talk about children or teenagers dying. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about it. And old people, okay, but young people, no, we don't want to see it. So this is a really new thing for us. The Midnight Club is basically about teenagers dying, and their anger and their denial and all those things that are related to death and grief are coming to the surface. And we know that Mike Flanagan loves showing grief and loss and trauma in his TV shows. So this is no surprise that this time as well. But I think this is the singular, the most important grief depiction in his filmography, I believe, because like you see them grieving themselves because they're about to die. They know they are going to die. So they're grieving themselves. Also, we see some parents and they are silently grieving their children who are not dead yet, but they are going to be. So this is kind of like you're seeing a lot of different point of views in the show. And I think it's really important because in the first episode, I think it was the first episode, the doctor forms a group therapy, with all the teenagers, and she asks something very important. She asks, "What are we grieving for today? Like, what are we grieving for?" And one of the answers is I have frozen.
No. It's a fantastic question. Sorry.
Okay. She asks like, what are we grieving for today? And one of the people, like one of the teenagers, goes that I'm grieving because I'm not going to be able to play PlayStation. and yeah, for him, like, and the doctor goes like, nothing is too superficial, like you can grieve anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, because it's important to him. He's a gamer boy and he won't be able to play on the new PlayStation, play with the new PlayStation, because he's going to be dead, he
Yeah.
reckons. So yeah, it's really important that all those things, small things for other people, but big things for us, are basically things to grieve about.
Yeah.
And not just, grief is not just about losing loved ones and losing a life, but also about small things.
Yeah.
You will never eat an apple again. I mean, this may seem small, but
Yes.
this is also very, very vital, very important. You will never taste an apple again,
Yeah.
period. Like, it's over. And so basically, in this hospice, these teenagers, they have formed a club called the Midnight Club. So when the clock strikes midnight, they all go down to the library. It's a beautiful library, by the way. They all go down to the library and sit by the fire, and they tell each other ghost stories.
Nice.
And it's really good. It's gothic through and through. It's really good. They all take turns to make up ghosts and stories, and it's really good. Like, to see them bond over this ghost story material, this horror material. Once again, horror is for bonding, and that's really
Yeah.
important to show. So, and then they also have a pact among themselves, which is whoever dies first will try to reach from beyond and tell
Ooh.
the others what to expect from the afterlife. So they're always looking for signs, within the building, like if something's going to happen, or if a loved one, if their former friend will just, reach behind that curtain and fill them in about the afterlife. So it's really
Yeah.
important to kind of look at this series as a perfect example of anxiety about death and afterlife.
Sure.
Because death, we always talk about that and how
We
scary
do.
it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what is really scary is that we don't know about afterlife. That is scary. That is the
Yeah.
scary part
Yeah.
about death. If we knew that there's going to be, like, if we knew for certain that there's going to be an eternal afterlife, maybe we wouldn't be that scared. We wouldn't be scared this much.
Yeah.
But the fact that we don't know what to expect, and maybe it's just oblivion, we don't know. Like,
We
maybe
don't
it's
know.
just nothing. And yeah, maybe if we knew that it's just going to be nothing, maybe we wouldn't be scared as well, like that time as well,
Really. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then it wouldn't matter. I mean, you would just be gone. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this, like, teenager kind of point of view from this beautiful mind, Mike Flanagan. And it was really interesting, and it was really sad as well. It is an interesting and exciting and really fun show, but also it is sad because that every time you remember that these people, they are going to die, and they're going to die soon. So it's kind of sad to kind of get used to these characters, to just lose them. But it is just like life, right? I mean, we get used to people, but then they're taken away from us. And yeah.
I've been meaning to watch these series as well because you told me, and it was Mike Flanagan and everything, and I've
Hmm.
not had the time yet. But I remember seeing the trailer, and then you're right that um there's no, sorry about that. There are not many productions where we see this kind of portraying death of young people like that.
Hmm.
And it's true, even though it's there, and if we think about 18th century pictures where you have these pictures of the dead looking like if they were alive, and there were lots of kids and things like this. Maybe that was like the beginning of showing the other side of death, and like not trying to go completely, and showing these deceased kids with their parents in black and white pictures. And there's even a Spanish book with a collection of all these, and it's wonderful. I mean, I've not bought it because it's really, really expensive, but it's a research for that someone has done. And it's a very well researched book and with lots of pictures. And it brings this anxiety every time I look at them, because it's like, oh my God, they got their eyes open, but they're dead.
Yeah.
And we keep suppressing this. So I'm kind of glad that Mike Flanagan is done this and is speaking about it. Um, because yes, it creates this awareness, and there are kids with cancer, and there are kids with
Yeah.
leukemia, and there are kids that die because of the war, and there are kids that haven't got a home, and etc., etc. And even going back to the video games, my kids, this last summer, there was one of the I can't remember the name now, a guy who was making a lot of videos on YouTube, a gamer, and
Mm.
I can't remember his name, but he died of. He was young. He was a young lad. He was in a teenager, but he was in his 20s maybe, and he had a very strange disease, and he died. And
Oh,
my kids were in tears because obviously they knew the video games,
yeah.
and they knew, and they were not horror games. It was just commenting, like people play online, and
Hmm.
it was a game, and it was heartbreaking to see them going through that. Again, one at the time was 11, and the other was 7, and then how they got their fear or their sadness. One talked about it, and started looking at videos, and said, well, he's got all these videos that he's left a legacy.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
parents the parents are raising money, selling his t-shirts and things that he designed as well, to research on that illness that
Disease.
is very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name now.
Hmm.
But the younger one, my youngest one, he drew a drawing with his avatar, and that was very cute. So they both words they grieve differently, and it was through these gaming, just connecting this with the gaming episode before, talking about uh, people exposure to horror in video games. uh, I'm just trying to remember the name of this lad. I can't remember. um, but yeah, this connectivity, we worry about the video games and stuff, and what kind of things they're watching, and at the end is bonding with the cat, is bonding with people. They
she's
bond
she's dramatic.
a little bit. It's the bonding with people as well in these spaces, whether
Yeah.
they're YouTubers or this connectivity. So yeah, it's important. You've been watching this series. In the end, you managed to watch
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
also Wednesday. And what else have
Wednesday
you
too.
been? These are the things I
Um,
need to watch because I've been Supernatural full time, so I've postponed everything.
exactly. So I loved Wednesday as well. It's gothic. It's
Mhm.
good. It's about death and horror. I love it. And I'm a big fan of Adam's family, especially
Yeah.
Wednesday Adams. She's like my spirit animal. So yeah, it was great to watch. And I love Jenna Ortega, the main
Mhm.
actress. I think she's one of the new scream queens, horror
Yeah.
icons that is just, taking over. She's doing a great job, I believe. And And I watched Devil in Ohio,
Yeah,
as
we
I
watched
said.
that. Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
that too. Yeah,
as
that's
I told you,
yeah.
that was a really interesting TV series as well. Like,
It was.
it was
It
about
was.
cults and, religion and all that, but also it had kind of like this weird vibe. Like, you didn't know if there was something like magical happening or
Sure.
not.
Sure.
But it turns out that it's actually the dangerous thing to be is human. So
That's
yeah,
right.
it was really interesting. It was like psychologically very deep kind of
Yeah.
TV show, and it was
Yeah.
important to watch. And other than that, I've been watching a lot of horror films, and as I mentioned, I think I mentioned a few of them. And one of them is like this. What was the name of it? I said before, like Skinamarink. It's
Yeah.
an experimental horror film. It was really
Oh yeah.
interesting, and I watched Fresh, A Wounded Fawn, Knock at the Cabin, Sick. Sick was really interesting because it's about basically it's about COVID, like post-COVID
Uh-huh.
isolation. It takes place during COVID, like beginning of the COVID. So this girl is in isolation with her friends, and then some people basically try to kill them,
Yeah.
and you're trying to find out why, and if there is a reason behind it, and there is basically. And it's really interesting that we're kind of playing around,
Mm.
especially horror is playing around COVID. Like, it's like a
Yeah.
dance. It's playing with COVID. So it's really interesting to see how horror adapts to a post-COVID world.
Yes.
And I think no other genre did this. No other genre kind of adapted to the new way of living
Yeah.
like horror did. So yeah, it's good to watch as a horror fan, because it
Mm.
signals a new era of horror where, I don't like talking about post horror. I don't like talking about elevated horror, because I think horror has always been elevated. And there is, like, if there is a elevated horror, is there a non-elevated horror? Like,
Mm.
what is this? What is this? Like, why are we trying to categorize everything that we
Yeah.
see? I mean, horror is just horror. I mean, there's bad horror, there's good horror, but horror has always been political. It has always been personal.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand the new kind of this new kind of understanding that horror has always have to be elevated to be taken seriously, and it doesn't have to be. It can be fun. It can just be fun sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah,
And it can also talk to, I'm thinking, it talks to each of us differently. I remember having a
exactly.
conversation with a horror producer and writer, Justin Park, and with Tracy Fahey. We had an accountability group, and she writes Gothic. And
Hmm.
we were going to actually do a program to talk about Midsummer, and because they said, come on, you watch it, because I've not seen it. They said, you watch it, and then we've seen it already. You watch, and then we can do a program and see what you think. And the expectation was that I was going to love it as much as they did. And the thing was that I hated the thing altogether. uh, and that was the good part of it, saying, look, we were like three people with different points of view, which was very
Yeah.
interesting. There was a neutral point, and there was the extreme of, this is fantastic, I love it, because obviously
Uh-huh.
he produces horror in his private time, in his own time, and he's got like
Yeah.
a little company, and he's getting there as well. So he's a producer as well, so he can see things from this horror point of view. But he's very much into gore and his slasher, and he's in extreme, and I'm more
Uh-huh.
into the psychological kind of thing. And that film did get me psychologically, because probably was too close to human or traditions of sacrificing, human sacrifices.
Human sacrifice.
And that makes me a bit uncomfortable. And we were having this conversation. It's like, it's not that it's a bad film. I'm not saying it's a bad film. The first thing I said at home was, this is absolutely a pile of poop. But because I didn't like it, but being academically professional as well, it is a good film. It's just that my taste is not the kind of thing that I really like, and I don't think I'm going to watch it again unless I have to. But I can see why some people will connect with that. I can see why people will like it, and I can see why people would hate it for the same reasons that people love it, or the people would hate it. So if it was for me, I would say that's not quality, but that's not right, because for you it's a fantastic film too, because you've talked about Midsommar in the past, and it gives you a lot of game. So, and there's a lot of information there.
It gave me a whole chapter on my dissertation.
Exactly. So it's it's fantastic how we can actually talk about these things as well. And I think my headphones are running out. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay. I think that headphone's gone down. It's running out. So I think we're gonna call it a day, because I think we've covered everything I wanted to talk about, and it's been fantastic. Thank you very much. But before we go, we're going to be doing the last screen, which is to show. Hang on a minute. Let's see if this thing doesn't actually disappear. Right. So if you've liked this chat, this part 4, and the whole of the thing, or the whole of episode 8, you can follow Tugce in Twitter and in Instagram. It's on Twitter and on Instagram. My preposition sometimes, being Spaniard and all that. And also, if you found this useful, interesting, you think you've learned things from these videos, supporters will be very, very grateful to you. Kofi page in Alice in Gothic Land 1402. The donations will be shared between me and Tugce, or Tugce me. Let's put the other person first. And yes, and this was Alice in Gothic Land, people. And one more thing before you go. We are going to, for those who are enjoying or have enjoyed these, we're going to be taking these into a seminar to talk more in depth, because for each part we could be actually talking more in depth about some topics, some questions, and some things I've been writing down as we've been talking. And Tugce's been saying a lot of things, very interesting things that we could extend for, make a seminar where we can all talk about it. You can ask us questions directly, and this is going to be in the summer. We're going to be thinking about the specific time and day. And at the moment, all you can do, I'm going to post the link. What you can do is to have a look at this landing page, where you can read more about the seminar, what it's about. You can see a little bit more about our profiles, and you can enroll in this, joining the waiting list. You can enroll there. We'll be sending you information. It's free. The seminar will have a cost, because it will be private, and it will be something that we want to do for people who are really interested. So that's the idea. And okay, so thank you very much again, Tugce. I hope
thank
to see
you for having me.
Soon.
It's always great to chat.
Yeah, after all the difficulties we had to start recording,
exactly.
Let's hope that now doesn't get deleted.
We made it.
We made it. That's the important thing. And I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
Yeah, I have. It's always nice to talk to you and talk about horror.
Yes, and I always learn things. I always learn new things, which is the important thing, that we always can see all the psychological side of things, and there's always a lot of learnings, because as you said, the horror and the Gothic, they always evolving, they keep adapting to the new times. So thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon in the seminars if we get people interested, and if not, we'll catch up anyway. So
bye.
See you next time. Bye. Lovely.